Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of This Week in Eorzea. With me, as always, is Pyra.
Hello, happy Monday.
My right half and best half. Thank you so much for being here.
You work the left leg, I work the right leg. Let's go.
There you go. We got this machine rolling. Jeez. Just waiting for people to show up. What have you been up to this week?
This week we had a lot of fun just doing some kind of random things. Like yesterday, it was not 14 related, however, it was because of the Snowstream or subathon event I had last month. Skyrim crowd control. So a lot of chaos. It was fun and frustrating.
Was there cheese? Tell me there was cheese.
So much cheese, so many mud crabs. Probably 40 goats in a tiny building. It was chaos.
Oh, I'm so sorry I missed it.
It's okay. We'll get some clips up, but yeah, my friends were like, "Ooh, I didn't spend money at the Ren Fair as much as I thought I was going to, so look who's getting tortured." And I'm like, I don't know if I should be thanking you or pleading for you to stop. I don't know what to do here. So it was a lot of fun though.
Awesome. On Saturday, I tried the Chaotic Alliance raid. Tried. Very minimal prog was made. We got about 30 seconds in. It's great. I'm glad to say I stepped my foot in it. So I know.
Have you been liking it?
You know what? It was a thing. It was a thing. So here's how it went, and here's why I said it that way. We put up a party finder because we were brand new prog. So we had to put up a party finder. There were no existing ones that were brand new. So we waited half an hour for 24-man party finder to go up. Not bad. It was on Primal. It filled relatively quickly from what I understand. Poor people over on Crystal wait a lot longer sometimes. And we went in. We're in for 20 minutes and then people had to go. So we had to jump out again and refill. And it took another 20 or so minutes to refill. And then we went back in for another 15 minutes and then someone had to drop. So we had to exit out again. And then we went back in for probably 10 minutes again and then had to drop. So in a 4-hour window, we probably only had 30 minutes of actual playing the raid, but I hear that's pretty typical in Party Finder.
Welcome to Chaotic!
Oh my god. So yeah, heads up to people who want to get it done. You just need to bring your patience with you because listen, this is why Japan is beating us. There was a heads up that people in Japan were completing this raid at a much higher rate than people in North America. Yeah. And it's obvious why. It's obvious why. They are more disciplined. Look, when I was playing 11, if I joined a Japanese party, you were locked in. You would get blacklisted from every Japanese party if you left a leveling party after only an hour or two. You sat your butt down and you were there for the long run because those parties would last 5 or 6 hours. They just kept going.
That's wild.
So these people are disciplined. They're all about the group. They're about achieving, and they don't let people stand in their way. If you're not part of the team, then you're out and you're not coming back. So yeah, I can see why they're getting it accomplished at a much higher rate.
That just sounds like efficiency to me. So I don't be a downside.
It's just cultural differences. They're just naturally more efficient than we are and work better as a team and are better communicators and more educated on the whole average. It's fine. It's just a cultural difference.
And we suck in every other way possible.
Oh my god. Okay. All that being said, let's get into the news.
Newsy.
Yeah, there's some news. A stroll with Yoshi P. This Friday, January 24th, is a Japanese-only event. But look here. Let me try to share here. Let me try to share. It's got some really nice pictures. Look at that. Astrology Yoshi P. You'll be embarking on a relaxing journey to another world on another data center during this live stream episode with Hironobu. Yes. Sakaguchi, the father of the Final Fantasy series. It's got a picture of him with his little baby there. Yeah. If you can understand Japanese, or if you're willing to just watch pretty pictures, they have the links to the YouTube live link and the Twitch link. So.
Sometimes I find it fun with like, I don't know if I've watched Astrology of the Yoshi P, but like certain broadcasts that they have in just Japanese, just like it is fun seeing like a little bit if they show into like their studio or something like that, especially if it's a more relaxed stream. So I also just love looking out for what like plushies or something that may be in the background in case they decide to sell them at some point and I can start scoping them out.
That's true. It is, if anyone wants to get up, Friday, January 24th around 3 a.m. Pacific. So in the middle of the night here on the coast, but yeah, that's okay, that's one of two events, but maybe you can make the second event. The second event is the European PvP stream on Friday, the January 7th. Nope, sorry, that's not news anymore. It's already over. You
old news.
Okay, old news. Wow. Okay, that's it for events. Maintenance tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific. So we have an all worlds maintenance happening. It is starting at 8 Pacific, which is usually the time they start a maintenance if they're doing server work. But we haven't heard announced any server work. So.
No, I mean, really, unless you know of anything different, Debbie, I think it's just we're getting a new for the chaotic raid. The only thing that has been confirmed fully is the Demi Materia trade-in. So now you can turn in, I don't remember if it's Demi Materia 1 for Demi Materia 2, something like that. But there will be an exchange system for some of the chaotic Demi Materia and role quests. I think that was it. An end of Crystalline Conflict Season 12. But I think that was it.
Yeah, so the only thing, those are the only things we know of, and these role quests. I flipped over and it didn't continue sharing my screen here. So let's go back to the special site. So they have added the additional role quests. But you know what? They tend to sneak things in. So we just don't know what could be in the patch notes that we just haven't been told about. That being said, because it's an odd number patch, or an even number patch, so to speak, we wouldn't expect anything big.
Now, Debbie, have you done the role quests yet?
No, I haven't.
Fair.
And I say it like that because I keep meaning to. I honestly keep meaning to, but every time I go in game, I just get distracted by something else. It's not that the quests are bad. I've actually heard that compared to the MSQ, they're actually pretty good. Have you done them? No. Okay.
Technically, yes. Did I skip the cutscenes?
Okay.
I'm not usually a cutscene skipper. Just to put that out in the air, but I wanted my crap.
That's fair. I mean, I've heard on good authority they're decent quests. I'm not skipping them intentionally. I just am distracted in game right now. That being said, what you need to unlock them is just a level 100 class of each role to do the quests. And then after you complete all the quests, you'll be able to do these quests that are coming down tonight. I wish one of us had maybe done it to be able to speak to them, but you know what? All you have to do is get it done by the end of the expansion. You got another 2 years. Don't even sweat it. Don't even sweat it.
Unless I'm mistaken, there's really nothing to be added from there unless you want like a mentor crown, right? Like the story is kind of the perk is like going through the role quest. And then of course if you want like a mentor crown, like silly old me, but they're not imperative to like unlocking anything serious, luckily. So it does feel like it's kind of like a do at your own pace kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no hot rewards. People aren't rushing to get them done. So yeah, it's just a little bit of fluff if you're sitting there maybe waiting on some party finders for, 20 minutes every hour. You can get those done in between.
You don't sound scarred.
I love this game. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Okay, we'll save the cynicism for a little bit later in the episode. Mog Station sale still on through February 5th, and the free logging campaign is still on until February 6th. So, if any of those things we mentioned last week still appeal to you, they are still up. The Player Scope add-on that we talked about last week, the privacy stealing one. During the episode, or just before the episode, was removed from the site that hosted it. But that doesn't mean the world is safe. It doesn't mean it's over. It just means that the one person who had uploaded it to the site had been forced to, or it had been automatically taken down. So that information that had gathered still exists, and the potential for other people to upload it to different sites or to the same site is still there. So. We will.
A lot of. Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's fine. I was just gonna say, still feels uneasy for a lot of folks in the community, especially. Haven't heard anything officially from 14 about it, but hopefully in the near future that'll get addressed, because it is still kind of, even though that one person's information was taken down, like their kind of add-on, still leaves a lot unanswered for sure.
Yeah, no, and you are absolutely right. As someone who's played this game for over a decade, I'm kind of floored that we haven't heard anything at all officially. But we'll maybe get into that a little later in the episode too. So just protect yourselves. Remember to never connect anything to yourself IRL to anything in the game. Remember to never download anything a person shares in a link in chat in the game. And remember, the best way to opt out of an add-on is not to download the add-on. So if anyone suggests you do that, please do not. Just keep yourself safe. The world is a scary place. Keep yourself safe. What we are not talking about, IRL.
Okay, real life shouldn't exist.
Exactly, right? This is a segment where we normally go onto social media, find the hot topics that just aren't worth talking anymore, the beaten horses, the stuff that we should just move on from and put it to bed. But honestly, I haven't been on social media today for very valid reasons that Pyra shares. And so today's we're not talking about is real life. This is a Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Regardless of what's going on, for this 1 hour, we're just going to talk about Final Fantasy XIV. Capiche?
Beautiful.
Everything except capiche. Okay. Awesome. What else do we got? Tip of the week.
We need little catchphrases between segments.
Yeah, I need to create those little jingles that play when I switch them. If anyone does jingles,
hit us up.
Hit us up. Don't sell items for less than the vendor price on the market board. So when you go to list something, it will always tell you what the vendor price of an item is. Don't list it on the market board for less than that. Okay, 2 reasons. 1, you may think you're being altruistic, but you're not. You're just getting hit with a tax in order to lose money on the item. And 2, the person who's buying it isn't going to be some precious new player who scores a good deal. It's going to be another market board deal hunter who buys it and just trashes it right away anyway. So today's tip of the week is just don't do it. If you see that you're selling something for like 10 gil and it sells to a vendor for 50, just throw it to a vendor. What do you think, Pyra? Do you do this?
Yeah, I do this all the time, where you can just, in your retainer menu, if you're gonna put it up anyways, you can just sell to retainer. Yeah. And that way you don't have to go and like go find a vendor in a zone. Like, you can just sell it to your retainer and make the money that is on the item where it says sells for blank. I've seen people tank like old materia prices and stuff like that on the market board for way lower than the sales value. And I've had friends that'll just go and buy everything that is selling for lower and then like sell it to a vendor to make money. So you can save yourself some cash and give yourself some retainer sales slots, really.
Listen, and these people probably just aren't selling it via retainer. They're probably utilizing their 200% bonus for selling it at their dome and restoration place.
Yeah.
So every week, up to, I think it's 40,000 gil, you can sell things that you would normally sell to a vendor to them for a 200% increase, up to a profit of 40,000 gil. Do that every week? Well, you're making some gil, aren't you? So some people, like you said, me included, I just go along the market board, things I know people generally sell for undervalue, I pick them up and I toss them to Doma. There's a lot of materia in Doma.
You know, it's one of those funny things too. For a long time, I would say up through Shadowbringers, like end of Shadowbringers, I did not realize, because Stormblood I did take a few breaks. That was the only time period that I took like larger chunks of breaks away from the game, like, you know, like a month or 2 at a time. I didn't realize that the restoration of like had that. So I believe you have to get the restoration part of that zone up a little bit. You have to like do the quests and go through the motions with it. But yeah, that was like the ultimate perk, was being able to sell things 200% up to 40k. It's like, it's free money at that point. Yep. So you're not gonna do it for the pretty zone, do it for the money. Exactly. Do it for the kill.
Exactly. Listen, all these little things in game that used to be like side quests, they may not have replay value or any particular value nowadays, except for these little bonuses for having had them done. So take advantage of it. Which leads us to this week's hot topic.
God, Debbie.
Listen, has Final Fantasy XIV changed forever? Will there be a pre-Dawn Trail and a post-Dawn Trail era of this game? So we stand on the precipice. What happens next is going to define the game. And it's not going to define the game for everyone. Let's be perfectly clear here. What happens next is going to define the game for North American players. What's going on? Social media / the community / YouTube creators / players / mods / everything that's been going on for the last couple of months. My theory, and Pyra will get a chance to respond to this, my theory is that Yoshi P and the dev team are done with us. They're done trying to wade through the North American opinion of the game, and they're going to shift their focus to just catering to EU and Japan and Oceania going forward. Like, they're just going to start ignoring us. If there's no way they can conceivably make us happy, what can they do? So my suggestion is that it's time for a reset. It's time for a reset in North America. Let's get some new creators. Let's get some new voices. Let's get some new representation. Let's restart the game for those who, are still enjoying it, want to enjoy it, are new to the game. Let's refresh it. Let's redecorate. Let's start again from the beginning, and let's start with some more fresh, gracious voices. I lost my voice there. What do you think about all this, Pyra? I threw a whole bunch out there. Let's disseminate it.
Yeah, there's a lot. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it kind of scrolling through social media, but it feels like the community at large is torn, at least in North America. There are a lot of people that are done with this game and done with Dawn Trail, and it's such a touchy subject, I feel like, because on the other hand, there are a lot of us who are happy, who love this game still, and despite flaws that there may be, are still enjoying the experience. It's so hard. I think a breath of fresh air would be great. I think that there are some people who have played this game for years and want to see more. Like you and I have been here for 10 years plus, and we just want to keep going and do more. And then there are folks that are done with it. And I think that sometimes a healthy break or a healthy separation is the right way forward.
A little bit. So on the topic of creators, so it seems like we have two basic kind of creators. Like there are a lot of streamers of the game that I'm kind of ignoring in this. There are streamers who have been streaming it forever, have their own little communities. But in the YouTube sphere, there are two types of creators. So there's those who have been creating with Final Fantasy XIV for a decade plus, who have their voices really loud in the community, who get invited to all of the different events. They get invited to social media tours and that sort of thing. And then there's the creators that have joined the game recently, within the last couple of years, and do so very vocally. And a lot of times these people are very critical of the game. So I'm not going to particularly name names, but there's a handful of these creators who are very vocal and fairly new to the game. And honestly, I don't know that either of these voices really represent the true community of the game anymore. The creators who have been doing it for a very long time are probably tired and jaded. I mean, yeah. even playing the game, there's a difference between playing the game and the intensity of streaming the game and creating for the game. And I'd imagine after a decade plus of doing that, it's hard to be anything but really opinionated and jaded with what you've experienced, because you've experienced on a level most casual people never will. And the creators that are new to the game and very loud, who think they're voicing an opinion of the community, may be more inspiring that opinion than re-saying it, Should there be some fresh voices?
Absolutely. I think at any stage of the game, we need to rotate people and really just start looking for creators that, even if they've been in the game for a long time, just have different perspectives. There's kind of like the saying too that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I feel like there are a lot of people that, even a lot of creators in the space that even if they're super well versed in the space, their voice is going to be heard because it's the loudest. And so kind of diversifying people's voices, people's opinions, especially creators and kind of their sub communities, I think is just beneficial versus just listening to a select 5 or 10 people who, especially if they've been doing it for a long time, everyone gets jaded, and everybody in the creator space also absorbs, like, it's almost like empathy. Like, you're kind of absorbing your own thoughts and processes as well as everybody else's, and they're absorbing yours. And so it kind of manifests into this, like, these big voices. And while big voices need to still be heard, like, I don't think we should ignore all of the other voices in between, even if they're not as loud.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you look at a creator who's maybe been creating on the topic for a long time, their point of reference and their main critiques are going to revolve around what's happened before. Like, oh, this content is fine. It's not this content or this past content or something that they've done before. Whereas maybe what needs to come out of the community is more of a comparison to other things in the future, or a wish list, or a hey, this is fine, but what about if we did this, or what about if we added this, instead of a comparison to what's already come before. Yeah, burnout is real. Sorry, I'm kind of keeping an eye on comments too this time, just to make sure I don't get out of control. Burnout is real, and obviously creators can go through it too. Go through it too. And so what is the lifetime of a media presence with this game? And should it get to a point where even Square Enix itself starts saying, okay, you guys have been the voice of our community, we still value your opinions, but we're going to start, opening up these events to maybe some new voices to try to get some new opinions and some new feedback?
On a selfish point as well, it's like, oh yeah, add some new creators, get me on your PR list while you're at it. But like, on a real point as well too, like, that's something that I think they started doing for the Dawn Trail Media Tour, was adding more creators and a diversity in large creators in the space and smaller creators in the space. I think they should absolutely go forth with that. Champion people, kind of like help, amplify the voices of creators who maybe just started the game a year ago, 2 years ago, or you know what I mean? Maybe they're a new creator in the space. I kind of get, I guess, jaded as well. Like, as somebody who's played the game, this Friday will be my 10-year anniversary in 14. I get jaded a little bit too for some things that I don't, even if I don't like have a negative like view, I might be thrown off by a comment somebody makes of like, oh, I've never heard of this, or I've never done this. And it really kind of like gives you that shell shock of like, wait a second, that's not common knowledge. Like, it took me years to figure that out. So like, I think it's good hearing folks in all different stages of the game, because really their experiences are valid. And if somebody is going through a Realm Reborn today, that is so much different than when I went through Realm Reborn 10 years ago. So much different. And I think that has a lot of merit to it that I don't think we're seeing in the community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So here's the other side of it, and I always like to address both sides. So we talked a bit about how there are some creators, and I can give an example through another game, that are shilling or white knighting a franchise very clearly, instead of being an honest voice in that community. So there's this stigma of going too far, of being too happy with the game, of seeming like you're not being genuine because your feedback is too positive.
Yeah.
I think that the voice of the community should go back towards the positive, but how far is too far?
That, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this too, but like, I feel like more than just a straight up answer, and I know these videos that I've been seeing are way more than just a straight up answer with like, you know, hours and minutes and stuff like that, but I think for me, if I truly love this game, I want to critique on it. You know, I want to talk about what could be better and like a strategic thought process behind it besides this sucked. Why? Because this sucked. Like I just don't feel like that helps anybody in the end, like besides getting some venting frustration out. Like I think there's a way, I don't know, let me know your thoughts. Like to me, like I think there's a way to go about it, and while also kind of like having like criticism and maybe leaning on the side of constructive criticism if it's a space that you still want to be in, versus just a negative criticism for sake of negative. Like what do you, I don't know.
So when I think about this, I think about okay, think about your closest relationships. Think about your partners, your spouses, your siblings, your parents. When you're communicating with these people, are you always communicating with them positively? And the answer is no. In fact, in some cases, the closer the relationship you have with someone, the more impolite you tend to be with them sometimes. Like you wouldn't say things to a stranger that you would sometimes say to like your brother or your sister. Like and I think when you're talking about a game or a piece of media that you enjoy, the same has to be true. Like you can largely be speaking positive about it, like you would be positive about these people when talking to other people about them. You don't want to give people the wrong impression. You want it to be very clearly communicated that you love it and that it's a good thing. But occasionally, you know, being, okay, this is really stupid, or okay, one thing I really can't stand about it is this, comes across as incredibly genuine, because that's the same way people react to other things they love. It's like, hey, I absolutely love this game. I don't like saying anything bad about it in front of other people, but oh, I can't stand when it does this, you know? So I think it's just changing the way we talk about it. Instead of going off on a tirade listing everything that's wrong, let's just start focusing on, hey, this is what I really like, but oh, it really irks me when I have to do this, right?
Yeah. It feels more genuine too. I love that you made that comparison, because absolutely, if I'm talking to a friend, if a friend is doing something stupid, or a loved one, or my husband, or anybody, it's like, hey loser, get in the van, we need to talk. Like this sucks, why are you doing that, what are you doing? But like it still comes from a place of love, and it still comes from a place of like, hey, I'm gonna slap you with a dose of reality medicine, but also like I love you and I'm gonna support you either way, and like here's some like constructive feedback on what I think you should be doing.
So here's the thing. There's this mentality, especially in North America. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, but most especially in North America, that the game is a product, a consumable product that is put out for sale by a business trying to make record profits. They're trying to maximize their business model. They're trying to get as much from you as you could possibly want to give them. It's nickels and diming. It's corporate greed. And people are really sick of that and really triggered by it. And so there's that side of it as well. And it's almost taboo now to speak out against corporate greed, because more and more people are realizing it's happening. But at what point can we just say, listen, this is a company that's put out a product I enjoy, and I'm willing to use a portion of my income to support it because it's my hobby and I enjoy playing it and connecting with people in the game. Like, you can't, I mean, right? Like, I don't even know what my point was going to be, but at some point, you've got to understand, look, yes, they're trying to make money, but it's not against my own morality to say, yeah, and I'm willing to spend my money on this for these reasons. right?
Yeah. I mean, if I get the point you're saying, like, we all have, and this may be more of a tangent, but it's like we all have freedom to use our money how we wish. And so if you truly love this game and like you want to be part of it, that your money talks. Your money is going to talk more than even any YouTuber. It's going to talk. And if you're saying, like, if you're really against it, use your money that way too. Not that I want everybody to unsubscribe subscribe from the game, but like, do what makes sense for you. Like, I've had some people like really have in comment sections of videos and stuff have gripes and say like, I don't know if I can support it right now. Like, I don't know if it's going to be what I want it to be. That, to each their own, that's fine. Like, if you say like this isn't for you right now, if this isn't panning out the way that you want it to, it is perfectly reasonable, even if we have the different points of view, for you to say, I don't want to support this anymore, I'm going to unsubscribe, things like that. Like, that I think that's valid. And I think it's good to say that out loud too, because I think I don't know if you've heard this, Debbie, but like for me, I've seen this misconception that like some folks think that if you're kind of like really loving the game still, that like you're not seeing the flaws and like seeing the other point of view. But I don't know. I think even with opposing views, it can be like, no, we're all in this together. This ecosystem of, you know, gaming and the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're right about your money talking. It's either worth it to you or it's not. And the only person who that can make that decision is you. And I hate to be all like, back in my day, but back in my day, those were the two options. You either wanted it and it was worth it to you and you paid for it and you played it, or it wasn't and you didn't. But there seems to have been this developing third option, and I don't know exactly when it started or how. I'm not a sociologist by any means, where you're allowed to pay for it and want it and play it, but still not be happy with it and still complain about it literally all of the time. You're allowed to hate it and want it to change and make demands and like tell people it needs to change and try to get, you know, the devs' attention, send hate mails, send death threats, send bombs, trying to force them to change it because you're not willing to give it up, but you don't like it the way it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know where this third option came from, but it's not constructive at all.
Right.
They're just going to ignore us. They can't work with that. You can't say I just hate it, please change it, and have anything like expect anything to change, right?
Yeah. Right. Where did like, so kind of playing a little bit of ignorance, because I have my thoughts too, but where do you think, if there is this gray zone, if somebody is unhappy, yet they maybe don't want to say goodbye, and maybe they want to be able to provide like actual criticism, what do they do? How do they get their voice heard?
So we're not talking about real life.
No.
We're not talking about real life, but because of real life changes I made, and I still wanted to get Final Fantasy XIV news to talk about today, I went on the official forums. I looked at the official forums posts. We know that mod teams, that dev teams take a look at the forums. Whether or not that's still true for the English forums, we don't know. But we can put our voices there, and that's the most likely spot for it to be heard. Now, keep in mind, when you put things on the official forums, you get responses. Like, every post I looked at got pages and pages and pages of responses. So people there are very communicative. And if you want to share a topic there, you have to be prepared to defend it. Like, you can't just say, oh, I hate this, and expect people to be like, oh, yeah, me too. No, they're going to argue it to death.
Right.
So if you want the Final Fantasy XIV community's opinions on something, the official forums is probably still the best place to go. So if you haven't been there, you do have to sign into your EA account or your 14 account to get into the forums, because it does connect you to a character. You can choose which character it connects to, but you have to be connected to a character because they want to make sure everyone talking on it is actually playing the game. So you have to be connected to a character in order to post on the forums or to read posts, but you know what? I think from now on, that's where I'm going to get probably the majority of my Final Fantasy XIV news and information.
Yeah. It's a good point, too, because I am definitely guilty of not checking out the forums that much. And I think part of it is, like, we're not talking about real life. But, growing up in a pre-14 Pyra, I don't know how to not talk about real life without talking about it. You know, certain forums get a little weird and toxic. So,
okay. Yeah,
I haven't given it a shot, and truthfully, I think I will.
Yeah, one of our viewers, Archon, just said that the official forums can be a bit toxic. So do some light reading, especially if you're reading a topic that maybe has you a little on edge. Don't go through every page, just getting more and more upset about it. Just skim. Listen, people give other people's opinions more weight than they deserve.
Absolutely.
Especially on the internet, where it takes 5 seconds to type out whatever comes out of your brain. It's not a thesis, it's not a research statement, it's just whatever pops out of your fingers during your lunch break. They don't think twice about it, so you should not be putting too much weight behind it. Yeah. So yeah, be careful. It can get a little toxic. Is it worth arguing anyone's opinion? No. If someone's having a discussion, is it worth stating your opinion? Absolutely.
I think that kind of goes to the big... The thing of big too, where like, of course, whatever you put on the internet, you have to be prepared to either ignore it, a comment, or reply, or challenge it. However, like, make your comments be heard. Like, I've kind of had a lot of conversations about like this similar topic with friends and community members, and I encourage opinions, even if, and sometimes especially if they're opposing to mine. But let's talk about it critically. Like, let's talk about it as an adult, as an unfortunate adult human. Let's be civil and like let's open up the discussion. It feels way more productive than just shaming and hating for sake of rage bait. Yeah, that's just me. Yeah.
Okay, let me do a little one-man play here. Okay, let me do a little one-man play. So someone's like, I really liked Dawn Trail. I absolutely hated it. Well, we're not agreeing, are we? There's nothing there. But someone's like, I really didn't like Dawn Trail because I think not a lot of things happened outside of cutscenes that really made a difference, and I felt that the character development arcs were lame. Okay, yeah, I can agree with that. See, like, okay, the point of the puppet show is, thank you. The point of the puppet show is people who are discussing have more points that they can connect and agree upon. Yeah. Whereas people making a statement are at a stalemate.
Yeah.
If you agree with someone or disagree with someone just on the outset, then try to delve deeper and find something you can agree on.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, we all play the game differently. We all hate and love different things about it, but we can all agree that no one understands Mahjong. Like, we can agree on that.
I'm too stupid to know what Mahjong is or how to play it. I don't know nothing about Mahjong.
Yeah, you know you're a North American player when.
But it's true though. It's so true. Like, listen, this is, again, not real life, but this is life too. Like, we don't have to agree on the same things either. Like, the resolution can be You love the game the way that you love it, and I love the game that I love it, or I have qualms here, you have qualms there. And like, that's okay. Humans would be completely boring if we all had the same opinion, 100% to the T. It would be such a boring world.
Yeah. And I mean, if someone says they like or don't like something I haven't experienced, sometimes I will go out my way to experience it to find out if I like it or don't like it too. So. But I mean, we've been ranting for a while. Do you have any final thoughts to summarize what we've been speaking of? Is this, or could this be a new era of Final Fantasy XIV, and should it?
In some ways, I think it should. In some ways, I see this as, and this is where it's going to sound super positive, but like, I'm excited for what's to come for the next chapter of 14. I don't think I have zero expectation that it's going to look like the past 10 years, truthfully. I think if it did, if history repeated itself that much, it would be boring. And maybe that is just me being way too optimistic. But I think things are going to change, and that's just kind of how the world works. How about you, Debbie?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Final Fantasy XIV isn't my MMO. Isn't my first MMO. Final Fantasy XIV isn't my first MMO, so I've been here before. I've played games that have kind of ended, like EverQuest and Final Fantasy XI, and I played games that are still going, like WoW. And I think what I took away from all of that is that even games that have kind of ended, like EverQuest and Final Fantasy XI, I still feel nostalgic to go back and play because of the music, because of the quests, because of the corny sound effects, because of whatever it is that I loved about that game in the first place. And Final Fantasy XIV isn't going to be any different to me. I'm not expecting it to be the last MMO I ever play. I'm not expecting it to be the only MMO I ever play. But for the duration I'm playing it, I'm creating those memories that will one day be nostalgic to me. And I want to, like you, see what's coming. I want to see how it changes. I want to see what ideas they come up with. I want my character to get to crazy levels or, go to another solar system. I want to be on that journey because I'm enjoying the experience. And maybe I'm not going to be super happy with all the choices. Maybe I'm not going to play it constantly. I might take breaks again, but I want to be on that journey. And if other creators who are currently the voice of the game don't feel that same sense of excitement or passion or love for what they're doing, then maybe the best thing for them is to step away from a bit and usher in maybe a new era of people who are like, look, we've been silent for this long, but hey, we've seen where it's been. We're excited for where it's going. Let us take you on that journey with us. And I would love to see this become a new era of Final Fantasy XIV out of North America, where we can go back to Yoshi P and go, hey, Yoshi, look, we've had a really good think about this. We're on board. Tell us how we can get other people excited about your game. So, those are my final thoughts on that.
Beautifully said.
So, what are you up to this next week?
So, I mentioned it before, but Friday is my 10-year anniversary of playing 14, of having the subscription. It's been 10 years.
Oh, a little closer. Oh, okay, I cut out again.
10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary.
10 years on Friday. So this weekend, I haven't fully posted my schedule, but I'm going to be streaming 14 all weekend, and of course this week for Ultimate Raids, but I'm really going to be doing kind of like a mini celebration of the past 10 years, doing maybe not some rating, very minimal rating. I think a lot of it is going to be a nostalgia bomb. So going back into old content, going into maps, really just like hitting up a crossroads between community and nostalgia, which is like some of my favorite things in this game.
Do you have like some really old screenshots or videos?
Oh
you can share?
yeah. I have
awesome.
screenshots before I learned that you could move the HUD.
Nice.
My first screenshots from when my husband and I, then when we were just boyfriend girlfriend, when we got married in game, the HUD was there. It was that day that I learned after the fact that you could minimize the HUD and just have a pretty screenshot. The more you know.
Da, 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 da. Yeah. That's
so we're gonna go
awesome.
down memory lane. But what are you up to this week, Debbie?
I am going to stream tomorrow instead of Wednesday, so just a brief schedule change there. I'm taking my cat to dental surgery, so I'm going to have a bit on my plate, but I am streaming Tuesday, Thursday, and maps on Friday this week, and then a little bit of something on Saturday. I'm just trying to keep progressing. I've only got 3 classes left till I'm Omni. I'm dipping my toes in Chaotic Alliance. I've done a bit of EX3, so and I've almost cleared Unreal. Like, I'm getting so close on so many fronts. So that's what my Final Fantasy XIV journey is going to be this week, is trying to make some progress in those areas. So stay tuned.
You got this.
Yeah.
Now, are you full Omni like everything, or just
Omni
like
everything.
battle or crap? Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's no easy feat.
It's no easy feat, but it gets easier. Like, once you do it the first time, I think I omnied everything for the first time in Stormblood. It's just like 10 levels of everything to catch up every time. It's
that was me in Endwalker. I finally omnied everything, so now it's like, okay, 10 isn't so hard.
Exactly. But then I have a couple of alts that I might need to figure out, so. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. It is always a pleasure to discuss the game with you.
Likewise. Pleasure being here every Monday.
Yeah. And thank you so much to everyone who's watching on YouTube now and in the future. Thank you so much. If you like this podcast, let me know by liking and subscribing. We are here every Monday with the Final Fantasy XIV news with a positive, experienced, casual, and raider spin. So let us know what you like the most in the comments below, and we will see you all next week. Take care, love yourself as much as you love others, and we will see you in game. Bye!